Now, something most people know is that technology played a big role in World War One. Some will also know the fact that defensive technologies, things like the machine gun that were quite heavy, also meant that the stalemate was kind of prolonged because it took a long time for offensive technologies to catch up. But one of the technologies that we often don't think about that was a defensive technology and that did play a huge role in World War One it's almost ignored by people. And it's this stuff. Barbed wire. Barbed wire was invented only just over 4 decades before the beginning of the war in 1873 by Joseph Glidden. Now it's relatively cheap to make, so it was made in huge amounts. It was also very, very effective in stopping men, especially men who were laden down with a lot of equipment, from getting through quickly. Many, many, many men in World War I died on the wire, is what it was called. Trying to get through the barbed wire, they would get caught and entangled and be unable to escape and become cannon fodder, basically. So barbed wire played a crucial role in making sure that the war was quite a defensive war, because miles and miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles of this wire was laid out throughout both sides of the trenches, so that when you entered into no man's land, it was very difficult to get through it. One of the ways in which they tried to do that was through bombardments. However, what they didn't realise was that most of the bombardments that took place, while good at lifting up the barbed wire, pretty much just dropped it down again, still intact. And so a famous example of this is the Battle of the Somme, where for 7 days, millions of rounds of shells are fired at the front, the German front, specifically for the purpose of softening up the ground and of cutting the barbed wire. What they didn't realise was that many of those shells were duds, and many of those shells were too light to have made a difference, and most of the barbed wire was just literally picked up and dropped again, so that when the soldiers entered thinking they would be able to and be free to go straight into the German trenches, there they were once again, trapped by barbed wire and caught in machine gun fire. So there's one of the technologies that had a big impact on World War I that's often forgot about: the humble barbed wire.